Hi, it's Merle Goldstein. So a little while ago, I was remembering that when I first came out of graduate school, around 22 years ago, I was doing some work with kids and some play therapy, and we were using sandtray therapy where people build scenes in sand with little figurines and kind of use that to work through some of, what their struggles are, what they're going through, their emotions. And I remember at the time experimenting with doing sand play therapy with adults a little bit, and it went very deep very quickly. It was very, very helpful for people. Um, but I just kind of forgot about it after I, stopped working with children and didn't have access to my sandbox anymore. And recently I started working with kids again, and also started looking for some more experiential activities to do with some of my adult clients. And I remembered about the sand play, so I invested in a sand tray with some figurines, and I started offering sand tray therapy to my adult clients. And it's been really, really powerful for people. We don't do it every session. I leave it up to people if they want to try it or not. But what we've noticed is that when people make a scene in the sand and talk about the figurines as representing themselves or symbolic of their emotions or what they're struggling with, it seemed like it's much easier for people to talk about what's going on inside through the sand tray. So talking about it when it's kind of a little externalized from the person, where they're not saying, I feel sad, or I miss my father, or I feel left out when people don't include me, but they're actually talking about the figures in the sand tray scene. It's much easier for people to go deeper with their emotions and to talk about things that maybe usually feel too vulnerable, or the subconscious mind kind of blocks them from talking about. And we were just kind of noticing that, my clients and I was thinking a little bit about other types of therapy that sort of externalize things a little bit, like IFS, that talks about different parts of a person. Part of me wants to be in therapy, wants to get better, wants to give up my symptoms. Part of me is scared. Part of me wants to push you away. I don't want to trust you, right? There's different parts of a person. And when you talk about it in parts, it feels a little easier than saying my whole self feels angry or I feel this way, right? When you kind of talk about that there's a part of you that feels a certain way, it's a little bit easier for people. I know sometimes when people work with children, they may tell them stories about other kids and how they feel. And I think when it's not so direct, it's a little bit easier to bypass our unconscious defenses and be able to really kind of work something through. And I was thinking this is just a good insight in general for having hard conversations, right, with a spouse, with children, just in general, or even talking about things that you're feeling. If you're able to look at it like a part of your child is pushing your buttons, or a part of your spouse won't talk about emotions, or a part of you is feeling frustrated that your child is so needy, it's much easier to admit it, acknowledge it, work through it, than when you just kind of say it like as if it's the whole you, right? Or you're just talking more directly about yourself, right? Like, I am angry, or this child pushes my buttons, or I'm so annoyed with my husband, right? It's kind of brings up a lot more feelings, and it's more charged than when you're able to put it a little bit outside yourself, or step out of it a little bit, create a little bit of distance. I think it's a little bit easier for people to process things like that. So I would love to know if any of you are able to use this insight and how, and if this was helpful to you, and get your thoughts about it. All right, have a great day.